They will become extension eligible this summer and has had a noticeable drop in production. Detroit has taken early calls on Bey from acquiring teams. Sources said a change in behavior from recent trade windows, but it seems the Pistons are intent on further evaluating Bey before truly entertaining his trademark. And that comes from Jake Fisher, I believe, right? Jake Fisher.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to say this. I'm surprised at how quickly Pistons fans had flipped the script, because during draft time, I had tweeted out that the Pistons, would you be upset if the Pistons traded Saddiq Bey to the Kings in order to draft Keegan Murray and Jaden Ivey? And I felt like Pistons fans were up in arms and didn't want to see it. But now when this rumor is coming out, it seems like more Pistons fans are in favor of trading Saddiq Bey. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, my whole timeline right now is just Pistons fans overreacting to a tweet from a guy that I don't want to say Jake Fisher doesn't have sources, because I'm sure he does, but he hasn't been the most accurate. I will say that.
Yeah.
And I want to kind of just calm Pistons fans down. The Pistons are taking calls on every player on the roster right now. They're 4-15. They just decided to put Saddiq Bey's name out there. Every team, every GM takes calls on every single player. You'd be surprised how much a GM's phone rings throughout the year of taking calls on players. Like, you can take a call on players. Like, just because you're taking a call on players doesn't mean you're going to trade them. Like, yeah, they took a call on Saddiq Bey. They're seeing what the market is. Like, if someone offered them a first-round pick for Saddiq Bey right now, he'd be traded.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's just Pistons fans overreacting. Like, oh, we're trading Saddiq Bey. Well, if the Pistons trade him, I hope, Saddiq Bey haunts them. It's just like Pistons fans just get so emotionally, I don't want to say, like, just this time of year, they get, like, really
attached.
Yeah, it's just that they get really upset.
Yeah.
And I can understand it. From here until February, it's going to be a miserable time if you're a Pistons fan and you're attached to a player on this team, like a Saddiq Bey, like an Isaiah Stewart, a Killian Hayes, because you're probably going to see their names in trade rumors for the next couple of months. I mean, it's trade rumor season. They're called rumors for a reason. 90% of the time, they're not true. The trades that we talk about never happen. The trades that do happen, they surprise us from left field. No one thought the Pistons were going to trade for Blake Griffin. We never heard about it. Like, the trades that do happen, you never hear about.
So you're not worried at all about Bey being traded?
I don't think he gets traded. I think he's on this team after the deadline. I just think that the Pistons are just looking at the whole roster. They're taking calls. They're seeing what changes they could possibly make. I mean, it doesn't help that Tom Gores, did get an interview with the Detroit News, I believe. And he thought that this team's record was better than they're playing at right now. And I think we both agree that this team should have more than 4 wins. I think arguably they could have 7 wins. I think there are a couple games that just got away from them. I thought the Sacramento game, they just completely just tanked it out. Like, they should have beat the Kings. I mean, they were beating the Kings basically all night. They were competing with them. And Casey just, white flag, just the lineup at the end. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? It's the best offensive team in the league, and you're just going to wave the white flag.
So what kind of trade package, though, for Saddiq Bey would make you pull the trigger?
If I were to get a rotational player or a high draft pick, I would pull the trigger. But I just don't see teams willing to part with the first-round draft pick in this year's draft. Yeah. And rotational player that, like, you look at Saddiq Bey's draft, like, you think the Grizzlies are trading Desmond Bane for Saddiq Bey? No. You think Philly's trading Tyrese Maxey for Saddiq Bey? No. Like, you're not going to get a whole lot for Saddiq Bey, and this is where Pistons fans do themselves of the service. They overvalue their players. Like, I remember when Andre Drummond got traded, people thought that we were getting a first-round pick for Andre Drummond, and we got a second-round pick that we eventually didn't even use, and some salary filler. Like, Saddiq Bey's on a rookie contract. Like, for him to get traded, it's probably going to be multiple players getting traded. Like, I see some people say, oh, maybe we can trade Bogey and Saddiq for John Collins. Like, if I'm a Pistons fan, that doesn't excite me at all.
My biggest fear is they hold on to him too long, and it turns into like similar to an Andre Drummond situation where they don't get what we thought we could get for him. Like, I mean, the trade for the when the Pistons traded Andre Drummond, it was just a desperation move. It was just trying to clean the books. They didn't really care what they got. They were going full rebuild. And even if they had probably been more patient, they could have got more for Andre Drummond. My biggest fear is they hold on to Saddiq Bey too long. Like I thought, this past offseason, Saddiq Bey's value never would have been higher. And I thought that was the time to pull the trigger on a trade for him. Just because I don't know. I just never thought that for Saddiq Bey, the ceiling was that high as a player. And I just thought he was just gonna reach his peak a lot sooner than what other people thought. And I don't know. I don't want to say I'm right, but he definitely has dropped in production and efficiency.
He has, but I know if he does get traded, let's just say we'll play devil's advocate. He gets traded, he's probably going to average 20 points a game as a role player and be a player that Pistons fans put in the same category as Middleton and Dinwiddie. Because the Pistons, they don't know how to develop talent, and that's clear. Like, name me a player that they have developed over the last 10 years. Oh, wait, they haven't.
Let me play devil's advocate though, real quick. What if Saddiq Bey is closer to Luke Kennard than Chris Middleton? Like the Luke Kennard trade was good because Luke Kennard basically had. I think you got more than top dollar for Luke Kennard in that trade. But I'm just saying, like Saddiq Bey, he could be averaging 16 points in Detroit because the talent's not there. But then you put him on the Clippers, he's averaging like 9 points because he's playing behind Paul George, Kawhi, and whoever else is on that team. It depends on what team he goes to. If he goes to Charlotte and he plays there, yeah, he might average 20 points a game. But if you send him to the Clippers, he's probably averaging like 10 or 11. I think it really depends on Saddiq Bey, what kind of team, what kind of role he's going to be getting, where he's going to be going. I think Saddiq Bey is going to be fine no matter where he goes, but the type of environment is going to give you the type of player Saddiq Bey is.